call to order the meeting of the County Commissioners on Monday, November 8, 2021 at 6 o'clock. As always, we'll start off with invocation. I'll ask Commissioner Mendenhall if he'd lead us, please.
Please stand. Almighty, gracious Heavenly Father, what a beautiful day you've given us today. Thank you for allowing us to come out tonight to do your business here in Stokes County. Thank you for each and every person that has come out in person to be a part of this. And we also thank each and every person that is watching in live streaming. Lord, we pray this week for a special day. It's not publicized as much as I think it should be, but we have Veterans Day this week. And to all of our veterans in the United States of America, and especially here in Stokes County, I just want to say thank you for your service that you've given, or the service that you're continuing to do at this time. You have worked hard for the United States of America to be free. I think freedom is a key word right there. Lord, I just pray and say thank you for that. I thank you for everyone here tonight. And I ask that you give each person a safe journey home and be with us in our business. For it's in thy precious name we do pray, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Continue standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll ask for the approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now move on to public comments. There wasn't none? Okay. All right, we'll now move on to our comments from our managers and commissioner. We'll start with Commissioner Cox.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank everybody for being here in person and all the people who are watching online. Looks like we have some students here. Are y'all from a civics class? Mm-hmm. Well, I hope we don't bore you too much, but thank you for coming out tonight. I also would like to remember all the veterans this week. As Ronnie mentioned, it's Veterans Day this week, and we just want to thank all of our local veterans and people who have served and continue to serve from our county this week. And again, just enjoying this fall weather. It's beautiful. The drive up here today was magnificent. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Mendenhall.
Thank you. Well, my comments are pretty short. Said pretty much in my prayer what my heart is leading me to. Veterans Day is a very special day to me. And I hope the United States of America appreciates all of our veterans and what they have done in the past and right now in the future. Because to me, freedom is so important. And right now, we're in a battle. And I just want to say a special thank you. And it's not anything special, but to my two sons who served. One served 2 stints in Afghanistan, and the other was a MP. If you've ever been a military policeman, you know that can be a taxing job sometimes, but they both have served. And I want to say to them, I'm proud of them, proud of my sons. And if you have family that served, I say thank you to you and your family. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Barney-Castle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, kind of reiterating what Mr. Mendenhall said, it's great to see everybody tonight. Everybody watching live stream. Great to see these young ladies from school here showing some interest in the local government. Again, our veterans, it's a special day for all of them. We commend them, love them, and appreciate everything they've done for us in this country. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Morse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome everybody that's here participating with us tonight, or hopefully a lot of people online as well. I'll join in with the comments on the veterans. I've heard from some of my former military folks that are still involved there that there are some real concerns these days with the WOKE, woke movement that's going on in the military, and that wokeness is not a positive thing and not something that'll help us win wars. So let's kind of pray that we can change that before long with another election. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. I'd also like to say thank you to everybody that's come out and share my same thoughts with the rest of the commissioners about our Veterans Day. Thank you all for your service and all the ones who's continuing to serve for us in our prayers daily. And also, welcome to the young ladies sitting up here front. And if you need some coffee, there's some back here in the back. Don't let it stunt your group there. But with that, I'll just pass it on by County Manager, Ms. Shaver.
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see everybody here, and I know our kids are from South Stokes. I recognize some of you here. Welcome to our meeting, and if you ever want any more information, feel free to reach out to our office as well. I'll kind of touch on, too, the Veterans Day. My dad's a veteran, and my grandfather was a veteran, and it's a special week for those individuals, and I appreciate all the sacrifices they've made for our country. And also attended a nice event last week at the King Chamber of Commerce Business Leader of the Year dinner. A lot of the commissioners went to that as well. I think everybody was there, maybe except for Mr. Minden, who was suffering with a root canal, I think.
I had a root canal.
That was a nice event where the local business leaders and some students were honored there, and that was a nice event. So other than that, I hope we have a good, productive meeting.
All right, thank you, ma'am. And I'll move on to item number 4, the conflicts of interest. Before moving any further, does any of the board member have a conflict of interest with any of the items on the agenda for tonight, or one that could be perceived as a conflict of interest?
None.
None.
All right, well, with that, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion on that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
One quick question. On that budget amendment for the emergency communications, was it like 25,000 or something? Is there, was that an unexpected expense? Do you have?
What number is that? Do you know the number
The
of that?
last one in the list.
42. Transfer funds for maintenance and repairs to equipment. So that looks like, let's see, and Julia's at her finance conference. So
You don't
I know
have
they
your
I know
fingertips.
they finished up a large thing they were working on recently that might have been part of it, but I think this was just a maintenance and repairs item that she transferred over from contingency.
Okay.
So
I just noticed it come from contingency. I was kind of curious about what.
I don't know if she just, maybe that was under budgeted, because I know they just finished up a E911 report that was overdue, that has been due for some time, and I'm not sure if it was something she had to transfer out for something that they paid out of a different fiscal year that should have already been paid, is what I'm thinking that is.
Oh,
We can
okay.
confirm with Julia when she gets back,
Okay,
but
that'll be fine. That'll be fine.
probably related to that report, I'm sure, that had to be transferred over.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We'll now move on to our information agenda. Item A, the River Street update. We have a CEO, Mr. Eric Kramer.
I'll make a couple comments, Mr. Chairman, while
Yes,
he's
sir.
walking up. I'd asked that Eric come and update us. By a little background, a little bit of way of background, if you look at the River Street project in the county, it kind of has like 2 big phases to it. The first phase had sub-phases to it, but that phase was completed, I guess about 1.5 years or 2 years ago, to lay down a backbone network in the county. And then when we originated this project, which I was involved with, Eric said they would come back at the conclusion of that first phase and tell us how to do the second phase, which is arguably the much more important phase, because what we're trying to do is get to rural people that normally don't, unserved and underserved people that don't normally have internet. So you had to do the first phase to lay down a baseline to be able to hook to do the second phase. So as you guys, well, 2 of you guys weren't here I don't think, at the last time he was here was May 26th, I think, of 2020. But with the board's approval, the board at that time's approval, they went off to do an $80,000 study on fiber and wireless capabilities to try to complete that second, and like I said, more importantly, I think probably the most important phase of the project. And so I asked him to come kind of give us an update on that, what he can tell us, since we're in a kind of a competitive environment for this next phase, but to give us that and kind of give us some thoughts on the landscape, since we have all run on the fact that we're going to get these folks connected, and so we need to move out as quick as we can to figure out how to do that. So hopefully you can shed some light on how we might approach that tonight.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kramer?
Thank you for giving me some time tonight to talk a little bit about, I think, what the opportunities are as far as leveraging some funding for broadband infrastructure. Just a quick update on River Street and Stokes County. I believe I was here, it's been about a year, I thought it was in November. We talked about sort of the total investment in the project to date. And so just a refresh on that, the county had contributed 1.8 million and River Street has spent approximately 8.5 million. So it's about 17% compared to 82 or 18 compared to 82 of a $10,288,000 investment. And that was to pass currently 2,886 locations. And so in 2016 to 18 was the initial part of that. And then we added additional network capacity in 2019. At the end of last year, we were approached by Stokes Wi-Fi about a potential acquisition of that company, and that happened right toward the end of the year. We closed on that purchase in January, and so now we have basically a fiber backbone throughout the county, which basically enables us to branch off of that broadband backbone, and then the capacity of Stokes Wi-Fi is some pretty good coverage as far as a wireless network in the county. And so we have several smaller projects going on. We're looking at a complete upgrade and county coverage. So we converted those customers to our billing and operations, and that happened earlier this year. So they're also River Street customers. And so they're basically completely converted now. And so what we've done so far this year, and I spoke to this last time I was here, was looking at doing a comprehensive study of what's the unserved areas in the county as well as solutions for that. And so we've worked with a number of different counties in North Carolina and across rural Virginia on what we call broadband expansion plans. And so we did this one. Normally we charge for those. I mentioned last time we're going to do that internally. It's about an $80,000 cost. So what we did is a fiber to the home cost to what is now considered unserved. The definition for funding is now at 100 by 20. That's changed significantly since we started this project. So originally people didn't have internet access of a 4 down and 1 up. Then it was 10 and 1 and then 25 and 3. And now anyone who doesn't have 100 by 20 is considered unserved. And that's what the new funding definition is. So that's expanded the opportunity of what's available and not available. And so what we did is we took into consideration those locations, those areas, and then also a complete wireless overlay, the cost of doing a complete wireless overlay for the entire county. And I touched on that the last time I was here. So with that being said, we are ready, willing, able, and prepared to help deploy a network here in the county. What we would like the county to consider is what a number of different counties across North Carolina and Virginia are doing, is putting out an RFP at a minimum to at least consider providers in a competitive process to provide solutions to the county to leverage federal funding along with existing funds the county may have or have access to look at creative solutions for deploying broadband to every single one of these unserved customers. Preferably via fiber, but Rockingham County, if you're aware, literally just issued one on the 5th. I've got it right here. So it's due the 15th. Right now, the filing window for current federal funding through USDA, that opens up November 17th. It closes in February. The infrastructure program has just passed. There's $65 billion available for that program. Since I met with you the last time I was here, there was federal funding through a program through NTIA. It's a national organization that distributed they're about to distribute a certain amount of money. So we worked with one county in North Carolina, several in Virginia to apply for that funding. We engineered, designed, applied for it. The USDA program does not require participation from the county, but it is definitely recommended. So those programs, you can look for 100% grant funding, which technically is 75% funding with a 25 minimum match. The future federal funding, I believe, would have to be applied for by the county. You'd have to choose an ISP partner. So I think that an RFP process would be more than appropriate to help you decide who that would be, and we would welcome the opportunity through that process to submit what we think is a proposal, a holistic proposal to basically provide service to everyone in an expedited fashion in a very short period of time. And so that's one of the things I wanted to come talk to you about today. At least consider starting that process. Like I mentioned, it's a 14-page document from Rockingham that not exactly optimal, but would do the trick. And so that's what I'm here to talk about and answer any questions you may have about what I just mentioned.
I guess you're well aware we did receive money from the feds. We're kind of waiting right now for the state to release more funding, because it'd be stupid for us to spend that money now and not be able to get anything that the state's going to release.
Right.
So I know that's hopefully coming here soon, and I guess you can kind of tell all five of us, as well as the previous board, is very concerned about getting internet out there.
Right.
It's a pain for our students here in our school.
Absolutely.
A lot of people trying to work from home. So yeah, I do appreciate you coming and giving an update tonight. Any other comments or questions?
Go ahead. I'm still thinking.
Well, I've had a pretty long running relationship with Eric. It started a few years ago when I was superintendent of the school system. And I think he's been back here during my 5 years as commissioner, I believe at least 3 times, to give us updates or give us different ideas that he had. And Eric is, their home base they started from is Wilkes County. And my mother, as I told you last time, is from, she was born in Caldwell, but at the age of 2 she moved to Wilkes. So all of my relatives live in Wilkes. And I know good old schools like North Wilkes High School, that you have to run through a few curves and mountains and hills to get to. I'm sure you're really familiar with those.
Yeah.
I heard you, one of the big keys I think everybody is wanting is, we talked about unserved and underserved quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's one of our primary goals. I mean, we'd love to have the whole county.
Right. Yeah.
But, it started out as unserved and underserved. And that's been talked about each time you come up here. And I heard you use the numerical numbers, I think, at the end, 100 by 20.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to get a clarification on it. Going down to Walnut Cove, which I served the whole county. I was principal at North Stokes High School, which was probably more of the unserved and underserved. Because if you've ever been through the northern end of the county, I was principal at Sandy Ridge and Nancy Reynolds. I've been through every curve up there. And it's not easy. In fact, we always thought we had an advantage in football because the visiting team had to travel around those curves, and most of them got sick by the time they got to North Stokes. So we used that as an advantage. But now I'm looking at the parents and the students countywide. But give me an example. Say you're going down Piney Mountain Road in Walnut Cove, and there's an intersection 3/4 of the way down that road as you head into Walnut Cove called East Road. East Road crosses, one turn goes to the right, one turn goes to the left. The turn to the right, they have internet. You turn left, there are 19 homes from there to 89. I counted them the day before I come up here. And I've got people that say they have called numerous times on the left side, but they're not getting a response from y'all that y'all can give them service. Can you just explain that to me? How you can turn right down the east, but you can turn left with as many homes. And you're the expert in this.
So what we have designed is to get to every single location when we build this one time is our goal, okay? With the funding that we've received and are about to receive and what else we can go after, it makes more sense to build it all at once, and that's what we're looking at. We've been waiting for this definition to change of what's available, what's not available. We have federal funding from 2 different programs that are on one side of the road and not the other, right? We built to one side of the road, not the other. So you bring up a very good point, right? So part of what we won in the first auction, you have to really couple it with the second auction because they are almost literally right next to each other. So it makes sense to build it at one time. And then now that 100 by 20 is available, if we build that and apply for funding, that increases the scope of who has considered have it and not have it.
Right.
And we've been waiting for that for about a year. We were hoping it'd be 100 by 100. That's what we consider underserved. So the definition by the FCC hasn't changed. It's still 25 and 3. But the federal grant programs are now designed to say, we'll let you apply for areas that don't have 100 by 20, but you have to build at least 100 by 100. So we have been waiting for the availability for additional funding to build to every single person in this county who is considered and defined that does not have 100 by 20. One project, one build, to do it in a very expedited fashion to try to leverage as much federal funding that's available. So there are $350 million from the USDA program available. There is also $65 billion about to be available for the exact same definition. And so unfortunately, it's taken the feds a while to get up to speed. I think this pandemic has forced them to realize that these areas should be eligible and the funding is there, and that's what we've been working toward. So to answer your question, we've been waiting to try to build something to everyone that we know, and we want to leverage as much money as we could possibly get. So we've had examples throughout Virginia where Virginia is a little different than North Carolina. They've already made a determination to say, and the way the regs are written for the broadband availability of, and I know North Carolina is still waiting for their determination, but it says if you're going to build to 100 by 20 and you're working toward building to 100 by 100, which ours is 1,000 by 1,000, that is applicable. So we have already worked with, in process, 10 counties, done engineering plans with them. They've committed $40 million for a $290 million project. And we're applying for state matching funds, all right? And so we're talking about federal funding here. The state of Virginia has $700 million allocated in their state program. Our state program hasn't even come out with their budget yet. The NC Bio office has changed leadership. The current budget has been tied up, as you're very well aware, with a lot of things having to do with teachers and other important things, and the broadband's important, but
Right.
I'll use Virginia as an example that where we won the same type of funding in a number of different counties from 2 different auctions, and then it's like Swiss cheese. Here's one side of the road with CAF, here's another side of the road with RDOF, 2 federal programs. Now you have everything else in between, if it's eligible, right here and right here, in between. So it would make sense for us to go ahead and make sure that we could try to leverage ARP funding, which these counties of Virginia are doing, as matching funds for projects to go leverage federal funding. And so the program in Virginia is federal funding was allocated to the state, and they decided to put it in their specific broadband program. So what we are looking at is seeing what has just come out through a notice to the USDA, as well as what we know the rules and regs are for the future funding, which is exactly what we just applied for. The previous NTI program said there had to be a minimum of a 10% match. And so it was 15. So we were recommending that at 20 to 30%, because if you just do the bare minimum, you're competing against the entire country. So it's a highly competitive process. It's scored. And so we've already designed and engineered it. We know what it looks like. We know how many locations there are. All that stuff is basically, in the counties we've dealt with, is through RFIs and RFPs. It's a blind process and, proprietary information. But we're ready to do that. And we would like to be able to say that we have a pretty good understanding of what's out there, what we'd ask the county for, a very good offer for sustainability in a network that would serve everybody here. That doesn't have it, okay? At least what they say today. Now, I don't think they're going to change the definition for a while. There's not going to be another auction. I don't think they're going to auction funding off anymore. It's going to be block grants like we're talking about. So the sooner that you start this process, if you're so inclined, which I would highly recommend you do, and it's obviously your choice, but the time to do this is now. And if you want to expedite these builds, you have several chances at this. It's like a baseball at bat. You can swing and miss. And what we found is that we have a pretty good track record of winning and, federal grants through every program that's out there. We were just recently, the only program we hadn't received something from was, I believe, ARC, and we just got one of those. And so we're talking about funding for fiber projects, not necessarily wireless. We do have a wireless option if the county wants to consider to put in a light proposal if you're so inclined. But we feel like that if you did put an RFP out, we'd have a proposal that would basically solve this problem for the entire county, off of what we can leverage that we've already done together. Okay?
Thank you, sir. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Rick, what percentage of the county y'all serving now?
We cover about 3,000 locations, so 3,000 of the total. We serve the entire school system. We, just like Wills County, we provide a gig, but more than a gig to every single school. And so our wireless coverage covers a lot more than that, but wireless is, it's dependent on the capacity of the network. So you can send a signal to maybe 2,000 people on a wireless network, but you may only be able to serve 280 from that tower, right? So wireless is a different scenario, where if you build fiber, you know exactly every location and every address you build to. So it's defined. So, and we know exactly what's eligible and not eligible. And so we've already mapped that out. That would be in our proposal of how many locations are eligible, what we think the funding would be. I'm not going to do anyone else's homework for them, but we literally have this thing ready to go. So what we'd like to do is try to go get some federal funding.
So we don't want our citizens to have to wait any longer than necessary to obtain the benefits, the economic and educational and healthcare benefits that broadband can bring. We've waited too long already. So I think it's imperative that we get this process started. I'm all for going ahead and doing an RFP as soon as possible. I don't know, I know that takes a while, so I don't know how that will overlap with the state and what kind of monies they're going to have available. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun and miss out on an opportunity of what the state could provide. I just don't know what that timeline looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use Rockingham's for example. It was issued the 5th. The deadline is the 7th, and then the 15th is a determination. I mean, this 14-page document can be used. I believe it was used by someone else, and they, tailored it to their own needs. Like I said, I would recommend some slight changes to it based on the programs that are out there. That would basically give you the process to say, you would hopefully have 5 or 6 providers come to you, and here are some proposals. And, we hopefully ours is the one you select, but, it'd be a competitive process.
Right.
But that process has to start, obviously. The federal window for the program, the first program that is out there right now is February. So you have some time, but I would say that the process to develop an RFP would take a month. A month from now, you could probably develop one, put one out. It's pretty common. We've applied and won several. We just recently won a $4 million commitment of Beaufort County's ARP funding, and so toward matching funds for a project.
What were you saying about choosing an ISP partner to be able to go after the federal funding?
So for the NTIA program, which I believe is the way the $65 billion is going to be allocated to the state and or the federal program, the county itself would have to apply. So I'll use Richmond County as an example in North Carolina. We bought a wireless ISP there, and we have a network in Richmond County. That county had to apply, and they chose us as their ISP to be that partner to build the network. So the county wouldn't own the network, but the county has to basically be the applicant, if that makes sense. So through this RFP process, you could select your provider to work with to apply in a competitive environment for federal funding, and we could help you do that. I'm not saying we have the only code to do that, but we have a very strong proposal already there, and multiple options for the county to consider in an RFP process. The infrastructure bill, when it's all said and done, I think that it'll look a lot like the program we just applied for that we did with Richmond County. We applied for 2 of those in Virginia, where they went through an RFP process. We were selected. We saw memorandums of understanding. It's only binding if we win it. So if we win it, then the monies are committed. There's one tranche of ARP funding, and then there's another tranche. And so what you have in hand today, you should be getting the other tranche before then. So that's for you to decide how you want to budget that and so forth. So if you determine you have X amount of money you want to put toward matching funds or a project, you don't have to put that in your RFP. You can determine that with whatever the proposals you receive, right? You may have someone say, we'll do it with no matching funds. That's up to you guys, whatever you get. So I think the timing is there for the windows that we're talking about.
Yeah,
But I
I think
feel-
we've been waiting to see what the federal funding was going to look like, and we still don't know what the state funding, but I do agree it's time to get the ball rolling. You don't want to be the last county out there.
Well, the time is now. I agree. And I think it's not an onerous process. You guys have done RFPs before for broadband. We won that one. The world has changed significantly since then. At
Right.
that time, that was a 20% funding, and we'd put up 80. It's kind of really flipped. And how you do that is partially local funds and partial state funds and or federal funds. And you can leverage those dollars to get 80 cents on the dollar if we do it right, or you do it right, however you decide to do it. But I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't come here and encourage you to do this, just based on what we've already built, what we've already planned, and we know we could do. And so we are working with a number of different counties already in North Carolina and Virginia. We're approaching others to do the exact same thing. And so we would, obviously, for good reason, we would love to see you go through this process, and we'd like to engage with you on that.
I think that's all I have.
All right.
Mr. Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Eric, I got a whole bunch of questions, but short answers, I hope. Could you just address what advantage we may have by what work you've already done here at the backbone that we already have? Or does that give us an advantage?
It does, because the lion's share of the work's already done. It'd be edging off of what we've already built. And so if you look at a map of what's available, based on the FCC's maps, they're all pieces and parts off of an extension of what we already have built. And so they're not all in one place, they're spread out all over the place. And so if you take the areas that were eligible in the first FCC auction and the second FCC auction, then we've already done all the legwork to look at what's available at 100 by 20. You're branching off of something we already have. We've already built, we already operate it, we already know it works, it's already capable of, so you don't have to basically build that base.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, you were talking about, you already have all this designed for Stokes County based on your study that you did last year,
Yes.
right?
And
Okay.
then we
Just want to clarify
we
that.
modified it to include the areas that are now eligible.
Because of the change in the
Yes.
thing, okay. In your opinion, how quick do we have to get an RFP out to be able to get money during this February window, this November to February?
Well, I'll use this Rockingham one as an example, and typical, this one here has about a month and 15 days, right? But you also want to be able to give providers enough time we already have it. We already have it basically ready, but.
Have to give enough for the other providers that
Yes.
might bid.
Right. Usually typically at least 30 days is a good window.
30 days?
I would think.
Yeah,
It's up
okay.
to you, however time you want to give. Sometimes counties give extensions depending on their want to see more people apply or whatever, companies apply. But that's typical of what you see on these RFPs.
Okay, our end game from the get-go, when we started this several years ago, was to eventually get fiber to everybody. So,
Well, every unserved area, and that definition has changed over a period of time.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the idea, even if we use wireless as a gap filler, we could still always proceed toward getting fiber to everybody, or as many as we can, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You agree that we should still try to do that?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
much
there's-
better in wireless, right?
Yes, wireless is a stopgap measure. I mentioned that the last time I was here. Yeah. We operate a wireless network. We have, I think, we have 30,000 customers, 7,000 of those, I think, or 25,000 internet customers, 7,000 of those are wireless. So.
Okay. The wireless system you would put in is called carrier grade, I guess, or it's
Well,
something
the
a
licensed
little bit
spectrum
different
that
than
we,
Stokes
the licensed
Wi-Fi,
spectrum
right?
that we use. Yeah.
So Stokes Wi-Fi is like not quite as good as what you would put in if we built a fiber, I mean,
Well,
wireless system? with
We've
you
acquired
guys?
7 wireless companies. They're all the same. They're all unlicensed. So we participated in an auction. The last time I was here, I believe I mentioned that we participated in a wireless spectrum auction. It was called the CBRS 3.65 auction. We won spectrum here in the county on purpose. We won it throughout Virginia, North Carolina. We would use that primarily first, as well as, a 5.8 megahertz. So, we have existing smaller projects that we're doing right now in the county. What we're talking about is one that is a complete overlay.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
what was my question.
Yeah.
Is Patrick County one of the ones you're working with?
Yeah, we have a 3-county application with Patrick, Henry, those guys, and another county. We have 6 other counties that have come together as a group. And then we have 1 county by itself that wants to pay for complete overbuild, even where the cable companies are. Those are in Virginia. They're all public. We filed with the state with those applications. And those are areas just like here where we've won CAF2 and RDOF support.
Is there an advantage, would there be some kind of advantage, and I don't want to get anything proprietary that you would put in your proposal, but would there be an advantage to the fact that if you're working with us, that you're working with these counties that sit on top of us? I mean, can you one leverage the other? Or?
Well, I mean, they're contiguous to each other. Anytime you're contiguous, then it makes sense. So a lot of the available areas in Stokes County are in the northern part of the county. And so if you think about where they are, it's very close to the Patrick County line. And so, that application with Patrick is a large portion of that county. And so that's in a partnership working with Appalachian Power. So that's leveraging the power network in 3 counties. The other 6-county application is one that's a buried fiber application, very similar to what we did here. That's 47,000 locations in Virginia, that project. King and Queen County, we're actually doing a groundbreaking there tomorrow. That was a county that helped us. They funded 100% of the backbone network in that county. We already have the school system hooked up, the county government. We were operating a wireless network there with the county, and they wanted to upgrade to fiber. So that's an $18.5 million project. We were able to get $6.8 million from the state, but the county had said if we didn't get it, that they would make us whole. So they committed to those funds. We were able to reduce the county commitment by over $6 million. We brought $5 million to the table. And that will get every single person in that county fiber. But they only have 3,800 people in that county, homes, locations.
Okay.
So we're about 1/3 of the way done with that one.
Just one last question. On the ARP funds, Virginia is taking a license with them we haven't taken yet.
Yes.
I mean, they're moving out with ARP. Would you assume that eventually the same rules will come to North Carolina for how you can spend the ARP funding?
I think they're already there.
Are they?
The
Did you
federal
say some of the
programs
counties have already committed some of their ARP funds to leverage that you're working with in North
Buncombe
Carolina?
County's already done it.
In North Carolina?
Yeah, we've already done a study for Pamlico County's another one. And
Okay.
so that's when we designed a network to serve the unserved people there as well. So Buncombe County, they put out, I think it was $4 million. It's public knowledge. You can Google it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So we're working with them. And that's contiguous to a fiber network we already have. So we operate a fiber network in Washington, Beaufort, and Hyde counties. It's all fiber to the home, gigabit capable. So that'd be an extension of that network, just like here.
Okay.
So what makes that possible is already having an existing operation. So we're not looking to really create any more islands. We're trying to extend what we already built. I mean, so Rockingham would be a very attractive opportunity because of the proximity between. So we operate a network in Danville, Pittsylvania County. We're applying for funding in Patrick and Henry. It just makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of money out there right now. Time is now to apply for a lot of this.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you apply for it, and you don't get it the first try, you can try again and again until you get it. And that'd be our commitment, would be to apply for every single dollar that's available, federal, state, so forth. I'm not waiting on the state to figure it out because the federal programs are there. But I believe there'll be 3 years of trying to get this. But if we were able to get funding, we would expedite that process as soon as we possibly could. Right.
One last question. If this is something that needs to be held for your proposal, that's fine. But when you say expedite our project, if you were to win it,
That'd be part of our proposal.
that'd be okay.
It would be
Of
as
how
soon as
quick
we
you can do
physically
it.
could possibly get it done.
Okay. Okay. I won't probe you any further.
We've been
on
waiting
that.
for this funding. We've been waiting for the definition to change. It is here. We want to do it. We spent a lot of time and effort already designing this. We have the capacity to do it. This is the opportunity we've been waiting for to do this. A lot of time and effort has been spent on our part planning and doing this. And so it's done internally. This project was completely designed internally. And so we're ready, willing, and able. The ball is in your court to help figure out how to build this thing as soon as we possibly can. And I'm not saying you have to choose us, but we would love to give you a proposal that I think would be very attractive.
That's all I have, other than I would like to put this on our discussion agenda for the next meeting, if we could do that.
Okay, is everybody fine
We're
with that?
talking about it.
All right. Yeah, just a couple more questions for you.
Yes, sir.
With the wireless that you're doing, are you looking at doing line of sight?
It's all line of sight.
Everything's
Yeah.
line of sight, so you ain't doing like what Open Broadband's doing, where it's sort of like the cell phone signal that can go through trees and everything else?
Well, it depends on the spectrum, right? So
Okay,
we would use 5.8 first and then say the 3.65. It's not, it depends, it propagates through certain trees, it just depends.
Right.
And so very familiar with Open Broadband. does.
right, but you still gotta have that direct view of the tower some way,
That's why-
somehow.
That's why I say you can get it, you can say you can, looks like you get a signal to a certain amount of people, but,
Right,
it's just a matter, we do propagation studies and you can see, in all likelihood, the probability of someone getting a signal, how high it would be.
right,
So until you go out to the home, you don't really know.
right.
Yeah, that's why fiber is better.
Okay, oh, absolutely. But, how many customers do y'all have in Stokes County right now?
I'm not going to share that, it's proprietary, so, yeah, I'm not going to. We have been adding customers every month. We have not lost customers, we have been adding customers, and so, for us, it's been a very successful project.
Okay,
Yeah. And then the addition of Stokes Wi-Fi has made that even stronger. So we have a significant customer base here now.
all right. And I know you guys probably keep up with it, but what's the progress on Starlink?
So I'll say that in the state of Virginia, they are not recognizing that as, even though Starlink participated in the federal auction and they won a lot of support, the state of Virginia didn't recognize them and they're allowing people to apply in those areas. We've applied for a lot of areas where Starlink was awarded funding. And so I think that I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay,
Yeah, it's an alternative, it's out there. If people want to try to use it, that's great, if it works the way they say it's gonna work and it is fully deployed, and it solves the rural broadband problem in America. But,
wait and see.
what's that?
Wait and see.
That's I'm not saying I don't believe it'll happen, but I'll believe it when I see it. Let's put it
Right,
that
I
way.
know it put more stars in the sky, so.
Yeah.
And with the deal with Patrick, like if I remember correctly, I think the board of supervisors, they granted y'all, what, $100,000 to try to run fiber up to Bull Mountain, is that correct?
They have committed $1 million to matching funds for a project for part of what we're applying for the state funding.
Okay, and is that the same thing, you're looking at doing line of sight on that as well?
We're not doing wireless in Patrick.
You're not doing
We're
wireless?
doing fiber. We
Okay,
basically told them we're pivoting completely to fiber right now.
okay,
So we had a number of different grants in North Carolina, Virginia that we were awarded prior to the pandemic happening. And at that time, wireless was, I think, probably the most attractive and most efficient alternative. But now that there's funding available for fiber, we've completely pivoted to fiber to the home. Because that's where the funding is, that's what's available. I think we'll be putting fiber in the ground for the next 10 years.
right,
There's a 6-month, 12-month delay on fiber. So if you want to order it, if you want to get this project started, the sooner you do it, the better, because everybody's building fiber. There's chipset delays, there's fiber delays, there's contractor delays, there's the cost of doing these projects goes up the longer you wait.
right.
So for us, we were leading with wireless and then going with fiber. Now we're leading with fiber, and then we'll come back and do wireless where we can't get people fiber.
Which I do agree, fiber's Cadillac, but right now, need to get anything we can, that's the biggest struggle. But do appreciate you coming out here tonight and giving us an update.
One last question, Mr. Chairman. Is there a long lead time on getting the materials? Like, is it all on the ships off Los Angeles, or?
Well, over here, it depends on not all fiber is the same. We like to use certain vendors. We hear 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. So we would like to be able to say that if we were awarded some kind of matching funds, that we would be able to order that equipment the minute we were allowed to. And then what you're doing is basically prepping for everything in the meantime. And so the sooner you order it, the better. So we're waiting right now to hear back from Virginia on our applications, and as soon as you're notified that you're awarded, even before you sign the contract, you can put a purchase order out there. So we would order the entire fiber for that entire project up front. And so what we would ask for is matching funds for at least the fiber. And order it day one, so as soon as it gets here, we can start plowing and putting it in the ground. So there is lead time.
Will they lock your price in, like whatever you ordered at that time, even though you get it a year later, will they still
Yes.
keep it at that price?
Right,
All right.
yes. And so when you're talking about a project that large, or you have enough scale that size, you do get better discounts, even with engineers, contractors. We're working on a lot of those agreements right now. That's the advantage of ordering it up front. And then you're not waiting. And you can order fiber on reels, but then you have to cut it, so there's a lot of waste. We like to order it so it's pre-cut, so it's more efficient. But it does take a little bit longer. But we know right now that these grants are going nationwide. And so that's why the sense of urgency is there. If you wait till next year, you may not get a crew to be able to even put it in the ground. All right. We're working on a program that's using veterans, train veterans that are basically train them in life skills and work skills to train them how to put fiber in the ground, technicians, so skilled labor workforce. That's being set up in Martinsville, so the New College Institute, if you've heard of that in Martinsville. So,
Where is fiber manufactured?
well, it's in the U.S. There's some here in North Carolina. A lot of it's in Japan. So when there was that tsunami in Japan, there was a huge called delay and that kind of fiber. We use American-made first, so we prefer certain types of fiber. And, it just depends on what kind of fiber you use. But we prefer to use certain vendors, so we'd like to be able to order it as soon as we possibly could. Yeah.
Just do me a favor, if y'all do it, put that fiber 15 feet off the right of way, please.
We will do that.
I appreciate that.
Last thing we want is to have any kind of thing, I hear you. So, any more questions?
I'm good, thanks.
Thank you for.
Sincerely appreciate your time.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
I'll leave this here if you want a copy of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Eric, appreciate it.
All right, we'll move on now to item B, the Register of Deeds quarterly report.
Hey, while Brandon's walking up, I did verify with Julia on that budget amendment. It is moving from contingency because she had an adjustment she had to do because of that E911 report that she was not budgeted for this year.
Okay,
That's why
great.
she moved it around. So we were pretty on track. for all
Okay,
of us.
great, thanks.
Good evening, I'm not as tall as Eric. There we go. Thanks for letting me on the agenda tonight. I'll just jump into the figures. You've got your report, I guess. First quarter report, which ended September the 30th, we collected $76,752.25 in recording fees. Almost twice that in excise tax, $133,311, for a total revenue for the quarter of $210,063.25. For that same period, we recorded 599 deeds, 577 deeds of trust, 1,014 miscellaneous documents. That's power of attorneys, foreclosure notices, just any kind of amendments, agreements, contracts, 72 plats or surveys, no births, 97 death certificates, 85 marriage licenses. The fall is the busiest time of the year for those. Administered the oath of office to 32 notaries, notarized 6 signatures, issued 685 certified copies and 57 uncertified copies. The number of transactions for the first quarter was a 14.33 increase from the 2019-2020 fiscal year. Can you hear me okay? Okay, just making sure. The revenue for that same period was a 43.53% increase. As you can see from the number up there, the excise tax, that's what a lot of that is. Home prices have, based off the excise tax collections over the last 5 years, they've increased, actually over a year, it increased about 45%. Home prices went up. Based off the excise tax collections. The conveyance tax, or that's half of the excise tax, which is sent to the state, $66,655.50, and $35 of every marriage license we issue goes to the state as well, and those represented the next two figures, $2,550 for the quarter to the Domestic Violence Center, $425 to the Children's Trust Fund, and then $9,306.20 to the state treasurer. So the state collected $78,936.70 from our office. leaving us with a net revenue for the quarter of $131,126.55. We're coming off the best fiscal year we've had at the office on record, and it's holding steady for now. I don't know what the market's going to do, but a lot of our revenue is based off the market, as you can tell. The first quarter is now, like I said, the best on record. As of September the 30th, which was the end of the first quarter, we had collected we were 25% of the way through the fiscal year. We collected over 40% of our projected revenue. Expenditures were right on target at 24%. At the time of the last report I gave to you, it was too soon to know our end of the year figures from last year as far as expenditures, but I got those over the last week. And as my last report stated, we collected $425,691.02 in revenue, and our actual expenditures for last fiscal year were $280,765.99, leaving us with a positive balance to remit back to the general fund balance of $144,925.03. We had a good year. I've talked about this before. The state several years ago implemented something called electronic birth registration system. It's implemented through North Carolina Department of Vital Records, which is under the umbrella of DHHS. We've been waiting to get on there, and the state has now rolled out an entirely new system called NC-DAVE, which is the North Carolina database application for vital events. The birth system is going to be rolled into that. The state's mandating this to be implemented in every county January 1. So instead of hooking it up just to switch it all back over, we're just going to go live with them in January. So we'll be able to pull birth certificates from anywhere in the state and death records too with this new system. Births, until they do something different, the state only has birth certificates from 71 forward. So if you're born before 71, I can't help you. As long as you're born in this county, I can. But if you're born somewhere else, I can't help you after 1971. And deaths, they've only got from when the system started last year, 2020. And the state charges $14 on top of the $10 the county gets. It's an expensive program, and I think that's why we just never have gone to it. I hated passing that kind of expense on to the customer. But a lot of people are going directly to Raleigh to get copies of their birth certificates now. They've got a backlog of 9,000 requests that they're trying to process. They've had a 45% vacancy rate as of last month in the office as far as staff. 50% turnover since COVID. That office is hurting. So we've had our hands full trying to work with them. I mean, they're doing the best they can, but as some people are having some delays big time. And we try to impress upon them that people have to get passports, they have to get driver's license, they have to get all kinds of other records that they need a birth certificate for. Hopefully the state will get them some help. I left another message, speaking of passports, I left another message with the Charleston Passport Office today. I should get a call back tomorrow. Hopefully we can finally get our training set up. And it's the oldest excuse in the world now, COVID. It's thrown everybody behind, and we're trying to get training set up. So I'm hoping I hear something tomorrow. I'm hoping we can get it done before the end of the year. In other news, we had our Registered Deeds Association meeting in September in Pinehurst. I was elected historian of our association, so I'll be going every quarter to Raleigh for those meetings for the executive committee. My assistant's going to the basic Registered Deeds School at UNC Chapel Hill at the end of this month. I've attended that program already and the advanced program, and I'll be certified through our program with the School of Government in January as a Register of Deeds. I'll be speaking at West Stokes to their speaking of civics classes, to their civics department on the 17th of this month about local government. I was active in SGA when I was in high school, and I don't know. I like going and seeing the kids and getting some interest back into the schools about local government and tell them a little bit about what we can do for them and what they can expect when they reach adulthood from the county. That's about all I've got. If you've got any questions.
I've got one,
Yes, sir.
and I don't know if you can answer it, because it's, It's a specific question, and it's just out of curiosity. So if you can't answer it, don't worry about it, okay? You know, I know your office has everything from deeds of trust, you know, notaries as far as ministering. You have a variety of things that your office is responsible for. I just wondered, I was looking at your third quarter report. And just out of curiosity, you know, we've been having this COVID hang over us now for almost 2 years. And, I saw 85 marriage licenses. Just out of curiosity, is 85 marriage licenses in one quarter, which was third quarter, is that about up your usual number? Do you have any idea? And I know that's a tough question.
This quarter that we're in now,
85 marriage
it's the third quarter of
licenses.
the year, it's the first quarter of our fiscal year, but that's the busiest quarter for marriages because of the fall. People, I mean, we have some of the best scenery in the state, and people are coming here to get married. And we've got a lot of new wedding venues that's been opening up in the county, and people are coming August, September, and October to get married. And like a few counties, we did not close to issue marriage license. We did, at one time, we did go to appointments only when there was an outbreak in the building here in January. But besides that, we've been open full blast. And we've gotten a lot of foot traffic in from Forsyth County and other counties in Guilford that did close their offices to the public or require appointments only, and those appointments got backed up, and you on a waiting list really to get in there. So Surrey and Stokes and Rockingham kind of got some foot traffic from the Guilford and Forsyth over the last 18 months. But 85 marriage license for a 3-month period, I mean, that's above normal, but that's the time of year we're in too. COVID, like I said, like 2020 was a big year. It was a big increase in marriage license, and like I think I told you guys that I think people just wanted to get married in a year with a zero so they can figure out how many years they've been married easier. I don't know what the rush was, but that's a lot of people wanted to get married last year. The last year was our best year since I've been here for marriages.
And I guess what I'm tying that back to is I have noticed, and I think everybody on the board has noticed, how many more wedding venues
Yeah,
have been established in Stokes County. I mean,
it's been
in
a
my
lot.
5 years on the commissioners, it's been a tremendous increase. That's become a pretty booming business.
Oh, yeah.
Is the establishment of wedding venues. So to me, 85 marriage licenses in one quarter, to me, that will give us a positive economic development money. Also because, you know, the wedding venues cost. And
Oh, yeah.
if people wants to come to a beautiful county with mountain scenery all around and have their marriage, we're gaining money. And
Yeah.
that's an economic, to me, that's part of our economic growth.
That's,
We have one of the most beautiful counties in the state. I would put it up against any, with the mountain scenery we have and everything else. So that was just I wanted to tie that back in. I didn't know if that was a normal number or not.
I agree with you. We've had a lot of venues opened up just since I've been here, for almost 4 years since I've been here. We've had several to open up in the county. I think people are capitalizing on the scenery, and I was cheap. I got married at church because it was free. But that's just who I am. But my sister got married at a venue a few years ago, and it's the trend right now with these nice outdoor weddings. And we're benefiting from that with the marriage license.
I want to make sure I heard you right. I noticed on here it said 0 birth certificates.
Yeah.
You said everybody's kind of bypassing now and going to the state?
That's recorded birth certificates. That's births that are occurring here in the county.
Okay.
That's not copies we're issuing. That's just recorded birth certificates. We haven't had a birthing center since the hospital quit delivering children in 1989.
Okay.
So we've got a generation that were not born here, or if they were born on the side of the road.
That-
Or at home. I mean, emergency births, you know.
That
And we do
makes
have a few
sense.
of those every year, but not many.
That does make sense, because I couldn't understand in the last year and a half, we've been doing a lot of quarantine and 0 on that. That just don't make no sense.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we issue plenty of copies, but of birth certificates, but we don't. We don't record very many a year, less than 10 usually. We have
I figure with those 85 marriages, you said 91 deaths, maybe some will start coming back to the county.
Well,
All that many marriages.
most people are born in Forsyth County from here, but Forsyth or Surrey, for the most part. Since Baptists have started delivering babies too, especially.
Okay. Any more comments,
Get this
questions?
maternity wing up here at the hospital, and we'll see that.
Well, you found you a side job now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon.
All right, we'll move on now to our discussion agenda. Item A, the request for approval of 4 AEDs for station number 40. Ms. Shaver.
So at the last meeting, we talked about these AEDs for a brief amount with some other things they had requested. And we wanted to confirm that number and be sure we have the right amount of money on there. So that AED request is coming from the Fire Commission. And that's for 4 of the AEDs that they were requested, and that's what the Fire Commission's approved for them to purchase. And it's $6,417.96. And Julia has attached a budget amendment on this as well. She just rounded up to $64.18. It's number 43. So you've discussed this a little bit at your last meeting. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer those. Or you have Mr. Barneycastle, who's the fire department expert, who could answer any questions on
Fire
that.
Commission.
On that too, and on the fire, yeah. So,
You did say that was for 4 of them, Shannon?
4. There was 6 were originally requested, but 4 is what the Fire Commission approved.
That's the price of them.
Yeah. So you can certainly move this to action next time, or you can move it to action this meeting. You've discussed it once at the last meeting. We just put it back on discussion this time to clarify that dollar amount and put the budget amendment with it.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to move to action tonight.
Everybody fine with that?
I'm 100% with him.
Good to go.
So we'll make it item B, the request. All right, any more discussion on that?
None.
All right, we'll move to item B now. Via Regional Board appointments request. Ms. Shaver.
So I had a meeting with the VIA group recently, with the county commissioner board for them that I was invited to, Zoom, of course, meeting. And they are asking for regional board appointments from our boards. There are specific criteria for this board, and it can only be a county commissioner and then either another county commissioner or specific people appointed by the commissioners. We're in Region 4 with the new group, with the new alignment. That puts us in with Alamance, Caswell, Chatham, Granville, Franklin, Person, and Vance counties. The Board of Commissioners can appoint 2 members. I did ask them about their meeting schedule. They'll meet at least quarterly, and I asked them where they would meet, and they couldn't give a defined answer. They said that would just be up to that regional board once they're put together on that board to decide if they want to pick a half central location or meet somewhere different each time, or if they want to continue to meet virtually. But that'll be up to the majority of that regional boards that when they're put together. So they're requesting that we get these appointments made before the beginning of December so they can get those first meetings scheduled hopefully in January. So if we decided tonight who you'd like to serve on that, we could certainly move it to action for the next meeting and get that approved. So 1 commissioner, and then the other can be county manager, DSS director, public health director, or law enforcement rep, or another county commissioner. You can have 2 commissioners on that regional board. I did speak with Stacey Elms, who's the DSS director, and asked her if she had an interest in serving on that since she is so connected with the VIA group. And she is willing to do that if you all were interested in appointing her in place of the 2nd commissioner. I know you all are busy too and not know where those meetings will be. And Stacey is as well, but I think it would maybe be beneficial for her to be involved. And if not, there are other sub-appointments that will come from these regional boards that'll be more localized that she could certainly serve on as well. So I just wanted to get your feedback on that and see what you were interested in doing with that and who would be willing to serve on that board.
If you're retired, raise your hand.
Halfway.
Halfway.
I'm still getting paid by the county. I ain't retired, I guess.
It looked like a big area right there. Ain't no telling where that meeting to be at.
I like the idea of Stacy being on it.
You like the idea of you being on it too? Going with Stacy to it?
Not particularly, but I guess I would do it if nobody else will.
Well, I don't know about
Too.
Commissioner Cox. The only reason I'm trying to put you on the spot, but you're on the DSS board as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
So it might
being
be
on the
something.
DSS board and being that we already talk about VIA quite a bit and connected there, that might be it's just quarterly, it's not monthly,
Yeah, just quarterly.
so I could do it if,
And I really think the majority of them in the beginning are going to be virtual, both because of COVID and everybody's schedules are busy on those things and the counties are so far apart. they'll have to kind of make it convenient for everybody.
Me and Stacy to do it.
I think that'd be good. I know I was the one that was on Cardinal before, and we just met once a quarter, and I didn't think it was very inconvenient, so.
Right.
I think you and Stacy would make a good duo to do that.
Sounds good. That's all you need, just a consensus from the board on
Well,
that?
if you want to move it to action for the next meeting and just formally vote on it, we don't do the advertisement for it because it's such a specific criteria. It can only be one of you and then one of those other 5 positions. So, but as long as I can let them know by the 1st of December, so if you could vote on it at your next meeting,
That's
that's
fine.
Put it on action at the next meeting.
fine. Sounds good.
Any more on that?
Nope, that's it.
All right, move on to item, a page here. Item C, approval for water tower, Ms. Shaver.
So we had a public hearing a couple meetings ago about the huge water project that all this encompasses with the water tower. And really the only thing we heard about much from that public hearing, that went out, everybody had 2 weeks prior to the hearing to make comments. They had 2 weeks after the hearing to make comments. And there was just a couple of sort of negative feedback about it, and it was really just related to the water tower. That was it. There were really no other big issues addressed. It seemed like everything else was a go. The water tower is part of the big project of that interconnection project with the Danbury Meadows water interconnection thing with LKC, and really does not require a formal approval, but because it was the one item that seemed to have a little bit of conflict, not major, but just some conflict. I spoke with Mark Lacey with LKC, and we felt like it would just be a good step just to formally approve that site as the water tower. And then I had the mapping office actually attach an address to it to simplify the process a little bit and not have to go by the, stake here to the right or whichever those things describe. So the technical address now for that site is the 2320 Wall Loop Road in Walnut Cove, and that's where the water tower will be situated at when that's constructed. So.
Any questions, comments on that? Mr. Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I went out and visited with Bob Ritter. I think he was the only guy that had concerns about it.
Yeah.
And looked at his house and looked at the location, walked over there. I'm sympathetic to his concerns, but his house doesn't face the tower either from the front or back, and it didn't strike. I don't think we could meet he could meet the threshold of it being obstructing anything or anything like that. So I think we need to do that location. The one question I had for Stewart was, we had originally, when we did the other design, looked at the fire department for putting the tower, and I'd asked LKC if they would make sure or factor that into their design, and so I talked to Stewart, and he thinks Mark did that with them, so.
I feel 100% sure Mark mentioned that to them, and so they
Okay.
factored that into, that's part of this, I think, is being able to have that water tower in that site increases them being able to get the water going that direction as well as where it has to go now.
Yeah, so it's a 175-foot tower, though. That's almost as tall as a cell tower, so
It'll be a big tower.
it's a big tank.
Yeah.
It's 100,000 gallons, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
175 feet, 100,000 gallons. Yeah, it'll be a large. And the spot that it's in is they identified that site because of the height. It's higher there than you realize it is when you go out and look at it. When you see it in person, it is a good site for it. And maybe we can talk a little bit to some of our graphic artist people around and see if we couldn't come up with something to make that tower look like it's not such an eyesore in the community. Maybe if you see beautiful water towers all over the state, maybe we could make it a little more than just the traditional water tower when it goes up.
I think the lady that's going to build between him and the tower doesn't have a problem with it, so
Yeah.
I think we have to go
I think
ahead.
she reached out to some.
She did.
Yeah.
Commissioner Morris,
Mhm.
can I go?
I'm finished, yep, I'm finished.
I do want to say, Mr. Chairman, that Mattis, of course, that's my precinct, Wilson Store. And I know about everybody that lives down there. And the lady did reach out to me the next day and said she was heavily in favor of the water tower being placed there. So I went to that area. Used to be Buddy Dunlap's old store, with the store sitting there across from Mattis Automotive. Wall Loop Road, know almost every single person on that road. So I've been visiting, and I'm not getting any negative comments at all. they've all been positive in support. So along with Commissioner Morris, I also think that we need to move forward with this and approve it.
Okay. Everybody feel good about it?
I totally agree.
We'll put it on the next agenda then. All right, everybody good?
Action for next time, you
Yeah,
said?
action for next time, yeah. All right, move on to item D, offer to purchase surplus property. Ms. Tracy Aaron.
Good evening.
Eva.
As you guys seen in your agenda package, we have two surplus properties that had bids placed on them. Our first property is 1 acre located on Windy Hill. The bid process began on October the 14th, 2021, with the end date of 10/25/21. No upset bids were received. Offer to purchase was $3,375 by NC Stokes, 5988984426. Trust Michael Warren, manager, and Josh Spees, agent. We recommend accepting this offer and to proceed with the deed transfer. And then our second property was Lot 49 at Torrey's Den. Bid process began on October the 21st, and the end date on it was November the 1st of 2021. There were no upset bids on it either. Offer to purchase was $575 by Mr. William Beasley. We recommend accepting this offer and proceeding with the deed transfer. If the board chooses to accept both these offers, we would like for these to be placed on action at the next board meeting.
All right, questions, comments? Everybody good? All right, we'll put that on the next meeting's agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. All right, we'll now move over to our action agenda. We have two items on there. Item A is civilian member fire commissioner appointment. At the last meeting, both Richard Ayrton and Chris Smith were nominated to fill one vacancy for a civilian member fire commissioner. I'll now open the floor for any further nominations.
Motion to close nominations.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. I'll poll the board now, starting with Commissioner Morris.
Arrington.
Harrington.
Smith.
Smith.
I'll go with Smith. Remember you got all that? Okay. All right, we'll move now to item B, request for approval of 4 AEDs for Station 40. Do I have a motion on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All right.
Also approves budget amendment number 43.
Okay, budget amendment number 43, all right. All right, Ms. Brown, if you would, please read the rationale for a closed session.
To consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3, to consider and take action with respect to the position to be taken by the county in negotiating the price or other material terms of an agreement for the acquisition or lease of real property pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A5, and to consider the initial employment or appointment of an individual to any office or position other than a vacancy in the Board of County Commissioners or any other public body, or to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, and fitness of any public officer or employee other than a member of the Board of Commissioners or of some other public body pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6.
Do I have a motion going to close?
Hold. Amber, I want to make sure I didn't miss it. In your statutes, was one dealing with personnel.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to exit open and enter closed.
Second.
All right, who wants that? Anya, which one y'all want it?
Don't matter.
Go ahead, fine.
All right, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. We're closed.
There's one on that board, cause he's after that, he's the board of directors.
kind of feeling I had all them references there.
They know what he's coming for.
Frustrated.
Hey, Wayne, Rick, y'all want to sign a paper for them, the students?
Yeah.
I'll see you soon.
See you, Landon. Good to see you. Thank y'all for coming tonight. How I go? Yes, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yes, sir. Be careful. There you go. Yes, ma'am. Take care of yourself. Yes, sir. Wait a minute, y'all had to take pictures with y'all here or with us? Oh, Lord. Yeah, where's Sonya? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm here.
You look so young, you look just young too.
I thought I was one of them.
Get right in.
Amber, you want to take their picture with us? Sure. Hey, Davis.
Oh, okay. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it. Bye.
Amber can do
Did I forget to do something?
You said the sound was still on.
Really? I hit the mic and it didn't say that.